Once again, my name is Mitchel Townsend. I'm a college professor down at Zooarcheological College. Where I teach and design my own research classes, Bigfoot classes, lost secrets of the ancients, megalithic structures, all kinds of different very interesting topics. Luckily, they give me the academic freedom to design and teach my own courses. So, once again, we're here to discuss this phenomenon of what some people refer to as Bigfoot. I call it the old ones, okay? They've been here all this time, as long as we have. The three major theories, the way I describe them, are relic hominid, which is Dr. Meldrum's theory, hybrid hominid, which is my theory, and the great ape or giganticus black-eyed theory, which is the late Dr. John Bindernagel's theory. Okay, I'm a scientist, so I like to work on hard science. All right, forensic dental impression research will be the subject of this lecture. Once we move beyond that, I will show you some new archaeological sites that I've been working on that are connected with this phenomenon. Is there any question for me forward? Or what are we doing today? Question? Alright, this is just a little bit about myself. Once again, I spent a little time in the military. Also, a number of different places that I've been able to speak. In addition to that, they say the government's not aware of Sasquatch. I'm actually the United States Forest Service representative for the Gifford Pinchot Forest for historical and archaeological representative appointed by President Obama before he left office for a 4-year term. That allows me to get behind the locked gates of Mount St. Helens to conduct my research. So for people to say that the government is unaware, they are aware, they are actively supporting the research. They just don't discuss it publicly. Okay? For a number of different reasons. Once again, this is a little bit about my background, my academic degrees, military service, as well as the only person in the world that's ever designed and taught the first 4 Bigfoot classes. I believe there's a professor out in Maryland right now that's also teaching one. The first one came about as a result of a scientific discovery that I made in 2013 at Mount St. Helens, which was a giant pile of deer, elk bones that had been catastrophically ripped to pieces. The spine had been broken, and the bones themselves had been spread out in a very interesting pattern. All right, this was up in the Ryan Lake area, and from that point, we began to assemble a team of different subject matter experts, including VFRO, to come and do the initial examination of that site. That allowed us to coordinate all this information and put it together in the first class where we taught at Lower Columbia College and Centralia Community College. It brought together all of the scientific data to that point. Dr. Meldrum's book was the keynote text that we used, Legend Meets Science. He also did some initial consultation on my syllabuses for the class. I taught that class at Lower Columbia College, and 2 of my students at that college came up to me and said they had made a similar discovery. So now we had 2 other sites on the other side of Mount St. Helens that exhibited the same characteristics of deer and elk bones that had been chewed up by some unknown, unclassified, non-ecosystem organism. In other words, we had a mystery, we had crime scenes, and we had footprints of the perpetrators that they had left. All right? So, looking at it from a forensic pathologist point of view, or from a coroner's point of view, we need to determine what exactly was responsible for killing these animals. All right? At least in 3 different locations to that point. Bringing this all together, you can see the evolutionary progression of thinking, and that's one of the things you do with theory. When you initially examine other people's theory, you go through the informational process to see what's available, to see how they came to that theory, and if that explains your data, then it probably will fit. It didn't in this point. So we have to move beyond the great ape or Dr. Bindernagel's theory, which was this course right here that I taught in 2015. Giant ape species. We knew after that class was taught that it was not an ape. All right? So our theory had progressed like it's supposed to by an examination of the available data as it became available. All right? So that's very important to remember that. You have to be fluid in your thinking, fluid in how you look at the data as it's presented by not allowing yourself to fall into one different theory until you have a theory that explains all of the data. And that's probably the one that's going to be the most accurate. This was our last class, last spring, I brought all of the information together from a Native American perspective, the Amerindian and First Nations ethnographic data. We talked a little bit about that earlier today. Peter's information. All of the stories you see, the culturally ancient texts, those are all ethnographic information. All right? Stories, legends, cultural traditions, oral traditions, art forms. Those are all ethnographic types of evidence. All right? This is the class I'm teaching right now at the college. We're in the week number 3. Coming up, session number 3, and we're going into the physical evidence. Actually, I promised to prove Bigfoot beyond any reasonable doubt. The same standards that puts people into prison for the rest of their lives. It sends them to the gas chamber. And that's what I'm going to prove to you today. Beyond any reasonable doubt that not only Bigfoot exists, it's been here all this time. It's had a parallel evolutionary development. And I'm going to tell you what it is, what it eats, and where it came from, and its connection to these orbs and UFOs today. And I'm going to demonstrate that with forensic dental impression research and 2 archaeological artifacts. All right? Some of the conferences, these are the Bigfoot-related conferences that I've spoken to in the last few years. International Bigfoot Conference, I gave the keynote with Dr. Meldrum. There's some of the other movie stars from Finding Bigfoot. This was the Sasquatch Summit. And also I've spoken to some of the top international and national anthropological and archaeological research conferences in 2016, as well as presented this data as well. So, the culmination of that data is in this book, and that's available on Amazon, and this is the culmination of the 3 scientific papers that were all written that prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Bigfoot not only exists, but exactly what it is. So, the question is, what is science? How do you prove something? All right? If we're talking about stories, if we're talking about people's eyewitness accounts, that's pretty vague. All right? Meaning, I'm a scientist. I need hard science. I need DNA. I need forensic. I need impression research. I need footprints. I need morphology. I need a body. All right? In order to demonstrate to the rest of the scientific community and to the lay community, you folks, that we do have a species and exactly what it is. Right? So, in order to do that, we have a process, a scientific process that we go through. All right? It's a cyclical process of refinement. So, as you go and find data, all right, then that data has to be cataloged, it has to be analyzed, assessed, and then it has to be cross-compared against other data that's been peer-reviewed and published. That's how science works. All right? So we go through a process of making observations. In this case, to come up with some idea. So as we went through the data, Dr. Meldrum did, Dr. Bitternick did, we came up with some ideas and some observations on what we might be looking for. Then we go through a testifiable hypothesis. For example, if it's a giant ape, it's going to act like an ape. It's going to have 8 teeth. It's going to eat like an ape. It's going to have 8 behaviors, 8 body structures and morphologies. All right? If it's a hybrid human or something like us, hominin, it's going to act similar to us. It's going to look similar to us. It's going to eat things that are similar to us, and it's going to do things that we would ordinarily do. All right? If it's a relic hominid, which is Dr. Meldrum's theory, then it's pretty pigeonholed into Brachiosaurus robustus and a couple other small earlier versions. I'm not exactly sure what Dr. Meldrum's theory is because it doesn't clarify. He needs to intentionally vague and able to give himself some negotiation. And that's fine. I don't do that. I believe in hybrid hominid, and I'm going to do that to you today. Through the process of scientific iteration or refinement of data. So what we did is we looked at Dr. Bindernagel's ideas and said, okay, if this is a real corporate creature, it's going to leave evidence, right? Has to eat, has to procreate, has to communicate, right? It's going to leave data, it's going to leave evidence, right? In addition to that, my theory is if it's a hybrid hominid or a type of primitive human being, it's going to leave those types of data, that types of evidence. And that's what we're looking for too. We're not going to discount these other pieces of data, but we're going to be looking at them all together through a lens, a theoretical lens. In my case, it's hybrid hominid. So what I did, based on that information, I sent this information back to Fort Bragg, to my friends back in the Green Berets, and they did what's called enemy assessment and They took a look at the capabilities of this creature and said, this enemy soldier has this capability. It's going to be at this place, at this time, at this location, for these reasons. And that enabled me to be at that place, at that time, to get its food sources. It has to eat. It has to leave. If it's 1,400 pounds, think amount of caloric intake it's going to take to generate energy required to move that body. There's going to be leftovers somewhere. All we have to do is find them. Do something different. Try not to get a picture or a video or some DNA. Go at this from a different angle. Everybody else has failed. All right? And they're going to continue to fail because they're repeating the same thing that everybody else is doing. Do something original. Yes, ma'am?
Well, haven't all the DNA tests come back and they say, oh, it's contaminated with DNA? Isn't that because there was a
Potentially. Potentially, yes. And we can go in and discuss that. But that is a very large reason that potentially could be contaminated. All right. So, once again, special courses, science, technology, tactics, and training. Very simple. STT. All right? Find out what it is, what its capabilities are. Put yourself in a position to interdict at the right place, at the right time, in the right circumstances, and you will get your data. All right. How do you prove something? We've got proof of Bigfoot. We've got proof of Mars. We've got proof of aliens. Really? Prove it. I want data. Hard science. Archaeological artifacts. Not stories. All right? Stories are great. They help to flesh out the human experience of the phenomenon that we're looking at. But if we're going to talk about proof, we need proof that's identifiable, that's repeatable, that's examined under any circumstances and that creates the same result every time. That's proof, right? Proof. So, the first thing we do is we have an assumption. We assume that this pile of bones that I found, that these tracks were not created by the animals resident to that ecosystem. Right, so we have a mystery. The way that these animals were killed and processed is not normal to the animals that are resident to that ecosystem. We have a mystery. We have an assumption that it's not normal. Then we collect evidence, which is bones. All right? We survey the sites. We examine what type of bones are there. What is the pattern? Is it conical? Is it elliptical? Is it triangular? Which bones survived? How do they work? Is there any connective tissue left? How is the skeleton disarticulated? Ripped apart? All those are clues to the organism that was responsible for that animal's death and disarticulation. All right? Basic forensic. It's a murder scene. We're processing murder scenes. We're gathering every piece of data that's available, including terrain analysis, elevation, proximity of water, food supply, etc., etc. It's called maturation to develop a profile of the organism that's responsible for the murders of these animals in this ecosystem. Okay? So we're developing a process based on assumption to gather data. Verifiable data that's repeatable. Then we have to write it up. Where's the scientific papers in the Bigfoot community? You don't see them. There's no follow-through. There's no scientific documentation. There's no going to academic conferences and say, this is my data, prove me wrong. You're the best scientists in the world. We're not seeing that because we're not writing it in their language and going to their house on their rules and forcing the issue. All right? We're going to change that. Bottom line, proving anything is a process of refinement. You go through a process of data, analyzation, peer review, and analysis. Right? In order to do that, to standardize your data collection. That's the scientific process. Is there any question on that before we move forward? That is the process. If you don't do that, then we're never going to move the ball forward. Simple. They won't allow it. All right. Two types of scientific orders. We have to frame our analysis based on the data. First mistake most scientists make is they have preconceived notions of what they're going to see, so they go in with a mistaken understanding. In our case, we had behavioral evidence, neo-ecological evidence, and taphonomy evidence, which is bite marks. Very simply, bite marks on bones. The neo-ecological evidence is behavior evidence. Okay? Behavior evidence could be tracks, it could be scat, it could be dents, it could be screams, it could be tree snaps. Okay? So, behaviors and manifestations of those behaviors. A den would be a manifestation of burrowing behavior. A track would be a manifestation of walking behavior. They're trace information. It's trace data. Alright? Trace data. So, the frame of our analysis on 3 sites of dead bodies is taphonomy, teeth mark evidence, neo-ethnology, behavioral evidence. Okay? So we have 2 frames of the scientific analysis. Okay? Here's what I found originally, bone pile 1. What we have is up by Ryan Lake, which is up by Packwood, back to the Mount St. Helens. I tell everybody where the locations are, that way you can go read yourself. I went up and was camping up there, doing my normal thing. And there's Dead Man's Lake up the top, it has a lot of big sightings. I'm halfway up the deep lake. There's nobody goes up there and goes fishing. And so we've had some incidents up there with me and my brother, some screens and stuff. I'm up there, I just happened to stray out because it's bum hill. And I see all these bones on the carpet, and it looked like something had sat down and chewed up this deer. Okay? There was 2 skulls the skulls had been bashed in with some kind of bat or some kind of branch or rock, and they had been placed downhill. The bones next to the kill site had been spread out, and there was just a little bit of hair left. And there was still meat on the bones, so there's no scavenger activity. They had been spread out in a conical shape. Conical cone shape. Second clue. No hair left. Connected tissue still attached. No scavenger activity. Another clue. Right? My 2 students found another series of bones. This doesn't look like much, but there's 2 sets of bones here, and you're not seeing the rest of the skeleton. And this is another independent site. The point being is you have a collection of disarticulated bones with seemingly unexplicable teeth marks on them. So the next question, where's the rest of the skeletons? Okay? Where are they? Logical question. We have 3 independent sites that exhibit the same behaviors, the same killing mechanisms, blunt force trauma, catastrophic spinal separation, the same types of feeding activities, unexplicable types of teeth marks, and the same type of bone field, cone shape, parallel along that. And now we have a pattern, not an anomaly or one incident. A pattern. Same kind of animal, same kind of footprints, same kind of prey. Hungry, dear God. Right? This is a natural disarticulation. These are 2 of the other disarticulations. When an animal or any type of organism, including a human, starts to disintegrate, we call it digenesis. Its connective tissue falls off first, and the bones collapse on itself. Okay? Collapses. It doesn't separate unless a scavenger or some other mechanical manipulation has occurred on that structure. Okay? So if you look at that, you can see that's a natural disarticulation as the organisms start to degenerate. The last parts of the calcium material, in this case the bones, collapse on themselves. These were piled and dropped. Theoretically, somebody could have sat on that log and chewed up those bones and put them in a pile, just like we do when we dump ribs. And the majority of the bones collected were rib bones. They dump ribs. Just like we use them and eat them and drop them in a pile. Another mystery, the disarticulation sequence does not match at all. Tracks. We were able to measure tracks and cast 2 of them and measure the step and stride distances. Right? And then part of the analysis is comparing that data against humans or apes or likely candidates. Okay? In this case, it doesn't even compare to apes at all. Not even close. The only one that's close is human beings, and if you look at the analysis there, it's over double in both categories, step and stride. Okay? So what you're looking at here is a 1-foot stride on the ground. So this is our normal stride here, and this is a Bigfoot 1 foot. Left and a right. Double. My 2 steps, it's 1 step. Step and stride distance. That's a graphical representation of the difference between a normal human being and the distance between the foot structures that we casted and measured at all 3 sites. Remember that. Double a step and stride. Double. Okay? The dental impressions. So let's start at the front of the mouth and work our way back. The front incisors and the lateral incisors, okay, as measured by general prosthetic dentistry reconstruction, are as follows. So if you're looking at here, here's the comparison. The largest central incisor of your front tooth averages about 11.07 millimeters. The largest one that we found in EK, I believe it was 1, was 19 millimeters. Almost double the size tooth. Alright? If it was a lateral incisor, we're not exactly sure. It was much bigger. Much bigger. The point is, again, we're seeing double the size. Front incisor and lateral incisor. Okay? Off all 3 sites as compared against modern human beings. These are international comparisons, not just white guys from Washington. Okay? It's important. These are the sets of bones that we collected more, but those are the ones that have the most dentition marks. Those are lower foot bones on BP1 there, lower foot bones from the hoof of a deer. But they all were what? Good bones. There's one vertebra on EK number 2, and we'll talk about that because that has some additional information. That's why we collected it. So once again, moving from the front of the mouth back, double the size front teeth. Okay? We'll get into the shape of those front teeth in a minute. If you look at the comparison and the amount of measurements that we took, 25 of the 20 are completely outside the normal range. The preponderance of the evidence is outside human range. Okay? So if it was a Native American or a human being up there chewing on some raw bones, it's double the size. Okay? So we're not saying it's a human yet. We're not saying it's a native. We have a tooth mark on these animals that's double the size. It doesn't come from any other animal in the ecosystem. Okay? Graphic comparison. That is a big number. So once again, it's not just a millimeter number, it's a graphic number that's double the size of the front teeth. The bite radius is the measured distance between this is the radius of the tooth mark itself as it was taken out of the bone. And so once again, the millimeter range between average Homo sapien and normal is double. Okay. Starting to see a theme, right? Foot stride, double. Tooth size, double. 20 of the 25 measurements outside human range. Bite radius, which is a comparison of the tooth to the cut out of the bone itself, is once again over double the size. The intercanine, which is distance between the top 2 canine teeth or the lower 2 canine teeth. In our case, This was one of my students who did a test on. This is your average Homo sapien. He was a little bit bigger. And there is what we term the bone stacker. And once again, over double the size. So its mouth, the width of its mouth based on its two canine teeth, is twice as big as your average human being. Double the size. Straight, step, stride, tooth structure. Mouth size. Has to have a double the size mouth to get twice as big teeth in there, right? Sounds reasonable. Sounds logical. Science is also about logic as well. All right. Now, if it's not canine teeth, not cat teeth, feline teeth, it's got to be different teeth of some kind of hominin teeth. I'm not exactly sure what kind of teeth. Now we look at hominin tooth structures to see if we can geometrically determine what type of tooth cut that bone. All right? And that will tell us what kind of animal it was. Period. In this case, you can see the top one between a modern tooth. Modern human front incisors are shaped like round correction, square point sharp, straight, small. Right? Neanderthal man had what's called shovel-shaped incisors. They were much larger. They were ripping out huge chunks of meat as a hunter-gatherer. As we became pastoralized and domesticated agriculture, our front tooth shrank and our back tooth grew. We needed to process those things. Neanderthal man's front tooth stayed large because it's a meat eater. And it has a distinctive curvature of the teeth that look like round point shovels. So, modern human being, square point shovel. Neanderthal, round point shovel. Twice as big, taking big chunks of meat out. What we had was round point shovel teeth on these bones, all three. Neanderthal man supposedly was controlling the gene for 12,500 years ago. What's it doing killing deer and elk and Mount St. Helens in 2013-14? That's an excellent question. So, here is from the Arizona Department of Dentistry. It gives you a curvature range. It also gives you another range up above based on the incisors from the Neanderthal. It also actually gives you a graphic description of what we call radial curvature arc. Very simply, the curve of the tooth, radial curvature arc. Basic geometry. Does anybody want to make a prediction on how much more curved the Neanderthal tooth is as opposed to the human modern tooth? How much? 2 times! We have a winner! 2 times. Junior Bigfoot right there, Mr. Logan Walker. Well done, sir. Here is a geometric comparison of some of our largest samples and human. So what we're looking at is BP number 1, which is one of our larger teeth, okay, EK number 2, and we also had young ones. Based on their tooth structure, like fingerprints. Alright, so look at the top one, BP number 1. So if you're looking at let's look at the human first. The human's radial arc curvature is 0.50 millimeters. In other words, the curvature of our front tooth is a square point shovel. It only has a radial arc curvature of 0.050 millimeters. If you look at the EK number 1 adult, it has double the curvature, radial arc curvature of a human being. And it is 0.62 as opposed to 0.32 millimeters in size. So double the size and double the curvature again, okay? Number 2 is the same way. Double the size, correction, the curvature. And if you look at the young one, as not being fully developed, it still was 0.80. So it was moving into the double the radial arc curvature as well as an adult. Which was it its primary teeth or was it its baby teeth? Don't know yet. We're not going to get to that. Looking at all three sites, at three different sized creatures, compared to a modern human being, double the radial arc curvature, double the size teeth, double the size stride and step height. Okay? It sees the pattern now. And Neanderthal front teeth, not relic hominid, not Paranthropus or Poisson or any of the rest of them. So, great ape theory, out the window. Relic hominid theory, out the window. Teeth don't lie. Bite marks don't lie. There are the epitome of proof. Available anytime, never change, and they're available for the scientists to look at. Alright, let's start working our way to the back of the mouth. Alright? Because we don't rely on one piece of data to send people to prison for the rest of their life. No. We need all the data. So what we're looking at is a mastication process that's quintessentially human or hominid called bone peeling. What it consists of is very simply targeting ungulate specimens, here now, for the last 1,500,000 years, and chewing on them in a specific way based on the size and the shape of our jaw and the fact that we have hands instead of paws, which creates specific signatures. Behavior signatures, remember? And tooth mark signatures, right? That's the second set of our frame of our scientific analysis. So, all three spots, we're looking for specific impressions that are, when you bite into that hard surface, you're going to leave impressions into there. Molar impressions or incisor impressions. Those impressions are geometrically charted. In this case, if it was a great ape, they will be circular. Molar impressions. If it's a hybrid hominid, they're going to be triangular. If it is a relic hominid, it's going to be elliptical. Alright? So remember that. In the case of human beings, from 1.5 million years to the current, which would be hunter-gatherer societies in South America and the Kun in northern Namibia and South Africa, they're triangular. Modern humans have triangular molar impressions crossing backwards. Period. They just have problems. They also have what's called double arch structures. So as you're biting on the side of a bone, using hand, what you're seeing is the side of the tooth. That's it. The side of the molar. So as you're biting a piece out of it, you use a double arc, which is just the side of the molar. In this case, we found 4 different pieces of evidence from 4 different areas to include RB3, 3C. Each one of them, see, for example, EK1 is the first site, second site, it's rib number 1, and C is the designation of that bite mark. So each bone has a specific designation, each bite mark has another specific designation. So what you're seeing up above is dialed down to that specific rib and that specific bite mark. Okay? The interesting part is you're going to see predictable marks. The double arch structure, the triangle impressions, in the correct hemispheres on the bone. In other words, you're not going to see them all over the place. You're going to see them in predictable and specific regions. And they have to be there, or it doesn't match. These are ancient bones from human beings from 1.5 million years to about 400,000 years. And they show you and demonstrate the double arch structure that is repeated in 2013 on these deer and elk bones at Mount St. Helens. Here's the triangle structures. Here and there. And there is the area on the molar that allows them to punch in. So what you're looking at is just a triangular punch that punches in and comes out. And if it's a green bone, it comes back together a little bit. And that's what you're seeing right there. Right there. As coordinated with the same type of triangular impressions from bones, fossilized bones from 1.5 million years ago. So look, what we're trying to do is coordinate the marks, analyze them, and then find out who made them. In order to do that, we have to examine different species and look at it. We're getting to humans, hominin. We've kicked out the ape. We've kicked out the relic hominin because the teeth marks don't work. All right? If that's what they were, the teeth marks would suggest that. They would prove that. There's another one right there. So we had 4 different types of impressions on the ends of the bones that have been masticated in exactly the area that they were predicted to be in the hemisphere that they had to be at in order to be hominin. Okay? It all has to line up or it doesn't work. Another one right there. Did everybody see that? It's a little faded, but that is an obvious triangle right there. All right, once again, human, hominin, triangle. All right, we identified a juvenile in one of the locations based on its tooth structures again. As a juvenile bites into a bone and it's getting its first series of front teeth, they have little protuberances on them. And they are chartable in 12 different configurations. We were able to geometrically match those mammalian structures and cross-compare them with human beings and get the exact same structure as a modern human being and a number 8 pattern. In 2 respects. So not only have 2 adults, but you have a juvenile chewing on the same bones based on its tooth impressions. We didn't see any tracks of a juvenile, but it was chewing. Marks that. Right. Here is the graphic comparison between evidence that we collected and analyzed, cross-compared against current contemporary peer-reviewed science. This isn't campfire stories, people. This is hard science. All right? Head-to-head, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Modern human being against the bone stacker trace method. Now look at what we're seeing. And its offspring. Remember, there's your average height, teeth, mouth, footstep, and stride, side by side with the bone stacker, trace maker. These are quintessential human or Homo sapien type dental structures. You're seeing the exact same things here, except the shovel incisors. You're looking at bone peeling, which is a hand relationship. It takes hands to snap bones off the spinal column. You guys saw this articulation, right? Those bones were snapped off using your hand. Not a claw or tool. They wouldn't actually dislocate. That's neolichnological behavioral evidence that matches the tooth impression evidence. Now we're starting to bring the ends together. Tie up some for you, okay? Linear scoring. When you're working on a rib and you just slide your teeth down like that, take a little piece of meat off, you leave the groove. And you're scoring. We all do it. We'll take the meat off the ribs. Melons, hands, bone stacking, shovel incisors, bone stacking is a common activity. We all have done it for the last 5 years. We all collect bones, trophies, antlers, rats. We make jewelry out of it. We make whistles out of it. They used to make houses out of it. Needles. We use bones and we collect bones and we always have. We always target ungulates, deer and elk. Always have. Side by side comparison again. Double the mouth sizes, double the tooth sizes, double the step and stride. Right? Double the arc on the tooth. Archaic hominin teeth. Neanderthal. not ape, not relic hominid, period. If you take all of the data which I have, the DNA, the foot morphology, the throat structure, all right, the body structure, the cultural structure, the possibility of language, and if you examine every piece of evidence together through all three theories, the great ape theory drops off, the relic hominid theory drops off along the way. They do not explain all of the data. That proves it. As long as it proves that Bigfoot is real, it proves that it's been here a long time because the animals in that ecosystem know exactly what it is because it urinated and marked around its kill sites. And that's why every animal never touched it, even though it still had red teeth attached to it. Because they knew that animal from its ecosystem. All right? This is the proof. And this is what I submitted for final peer review, the Journal of Archaeological Research Sciences / reports, the top archaeological journal in the world. We're now on final peer review. I just submitted the latest one. We've been 2 years. It's a multi-year ongoing process. We have dragged this thing farther than anybody ever has in the scientific process. We're so close to getting published. And this is what we're looking at. If you look at the chart up above, you're looking at all three sites. You're looking at bone peeling, double arch structures, triangle impressions on EK1 and 2, ungulates, that was the prey selection. The place was pinch point kill sites, all right? Terrain funnels. The flat bones, they were deer and elk ribs, and they were eaten raw, and there was evidence of hands used disarticulating the spinal columns on every location. Okay? The ribs were deer and elk and raw. Human beings probably not going to eat them raw in the forest. A modern human being. No tool damage, no arrow damage, no firearm damage, no any damage at all on these bodies. Prehensile hands. Bottom line, it takes hands to break off ribs from a spinal column. Period. Not fangs, not paws. This is all peer-reviewed science. This is not speculation by me. This is observations and analysis that's been pigeonholed in other people's work. The top scientists in the world are reviewing my work right now. They're not happy about it because I'm about to prove Bigfoot, their research, and they're really unhappy about that because they're going to be connected to that forever. So it has to be perfect, right? Amazing claims require extraordinary data, right? No problem. So, did I prove it? Let's talk about it. What is proof? Proof. First of all, the theory has to explain all of the data. There can't be one piece that's outside. The hybrid hominid theory explains all of the data, all of the classical data, all the giant ape data, all the relic hominid data, and all the hybrid hominid data. All of it. Period. There's no anomaly. All of our conclusions are already situated in academic peer-reviewed science. I'm not making anything up. We're not creating anything. Everything that we found has been analyzed already by peer-reviewed scientists who are published. Right? That's really important. All of the dental and behavioral information is all mutually supporting each other. In other words, all of the physical evidence matches with behavioral evidence exactly. The dental impression evidence is hybrid hominid found, located in the correct hemispherical regions that it's supposed to be predicted to be located at. All right? The impressions that we needed to make a definitive conclusion that's a hybrid hominid as opposed to ape or relic hominid. And I have taken this data to academic research conferences, not just Bigfoot conferences. I've transmitted to some of the top regional PhDs in the world, at least 50. Not one of them has been able to disprove my research at all. Not one point. Oh, you would have heard about it. Scream of bloody murder. Not one. So they just ignore me. That's okay too. Let's see, what else? And this is my favorite. Phones don't lie. It's microscopically impossible to fake forensic dental impression evidence. Impossible. You cannot even repeat it because the same conditions where it was deposited are not available. Same animal, the same other prey animal, the same conditions, the exact same sequence. And it's all available for any scientist to examine at any time, at any place, for free, under any conditions, as long as I'm standing there with video roll. Alright? And submitted for publication to the same peer-reviewed scientific journals that are required in order to make a scientific assertion. Folks, that is the very definition of proof theory. That's more than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That's more than scientific fact. I stake my academic reputation on it. And I challenge everybody, and I do this every time I make a lecture. I challenge anybody to prove it wrong. Anybody. Not one person has taken me up on it. Not one scientist. And I don't think they will. Because it's airtight. It had to be. I had to write it down. Once again, all of this research came together in this book. It's a smaller book. It's only about 100 pages, but it has all the data in it. I don't push my books at these events. You're welcome to get it. If you can't afford it, contact me. I'll make sure you get a free copy from the manuscript. Okay? Because I'm an educator, and I think it's important in order to create a condition where we can all learn and we can analyze data within the scientific method. All right? So, I have a different opinion than the last speaker, and that's okay too. I know what it is. It's hybrid hominin. Its tooth marks are very clear. Its evidence is very clear. My analysis of all of the data through 4 years of intensive analysis all comes to the exact same conclusion. It's here, it's been here all this time, it's had a parallel evolutionary development, it's a hybrid hominin, and the proof is right there for anybody who wants to look at it. And one of the things I do want to do is mention that I have a new archaeological discovery about a half hour north of Chehalis. It is a library of some kind that has unexplained ships and star charts and organisms that are depicted on the stones. I sent some of these stones to the University of Washington and Washington State University Department of Archaeology and Anthropology. They can't identify them. I sent them to some of the regional tribes, including the Squaxin, Chehalis Nation, and the Squamish Nation. They're not First Nations artifacts. Where is a library from the stars that I believe were carved by people not of this planet? I have 2,000 books. They're data chips, is what they are. And they show Bigfoot in different stages of ordinary life. I brought a sample for you, which is the crown jewel of my collection. Not only did I just prove to you in bones that are impossible to fake, but I'm going to show you in stone the only hybrid hominin footprint ever recovered in the history of this planet. And it came from that alien dig. And it was manufactured by a three-fingered alien. And it's an anatomically correct, mathematically proportionate, accurate print that matches this exactly when scaled up at 43% with the height ratio. And everybody see that toe? That extended toe there? That's called Morton's foot. That's a human genetic disposition. And guess what? It's found on most of the Sasquatch prints. That's not an ape characteristic. That's a hominin characteristic. Hybrid hominin characteristics. In addition to that, this is the only artifact that's ever been recovered that shows a hybrid hominin footprint in stencil form made by a three-fingered, one-thumb alien. Here's Morton's foot, here's the big toe, and I'll pass it around so you guys can see it. And there is the mid-tarsal break, and there is the heel. So it's a roll stencil. So what it does is, this is the theory, is it's some kind of pigment or something's put on this, and it's rolled. Make an impression. There is the finger and thumb holes made by a left-handed, three-fingered, Bigfoot known alien. So, the question is, how do you know that's an alien, Mr. Townsend? It could be just a rock carved by Native Americans 200,000 years ago. It came from an alien cave. I took these stones to Bigfoot City with my college students last summer. You're all invited this summer. You're going up close and personal Bigfoot experience. I think it's important not to keep that location secret. I set up a display with 8 white crystals from this dig. Something came and took 3 of them and left me a giant spirit point with the same alien hieroglyphics on it. I have that in my collection as well. 4 days later, I had a ship hover over my house. It's all on videotape. 3 days later, the ship came back and hovered over my house again. If you guys want to see the videotape, it's on Connie Will's Blue Rock Talk on YouTube. Mitch Townsend, aliens, Bigfoot, like the aliens. You can see it. It's an orb, a light orb that's over my house that's going like this, and some kind of creature comes down and messes with the artifacts on my carport. And guess what it was? There was 2 messages. One, and believe it if you want. I didn't even notice until I came outside and I thought the cat had messed with it. I went and looked at my security cameras and I was, oh my God. One of the 8 white crystals had been changed into the shape of the main alien that had been depicted on the rocks. And there was 3 letters, 3 words in the other stones. We are coming. I've got the pictures. Check the video out. All right? There's a connection. I'm not sure what it is between Bigfoot and extraterrestrials. I know they're using these orbs for whatever reason. Now I'm a hard scientist and I can't prove this, but I'm getting close. Okay, I'm getting real close. I've seen these orbs at Bigfoot City. I've seen atmospheric disturbances as well. I've seen the red eyes. I swore that I would never say the word cloaking. But I'm seeing something. I'm seeing access to a higher technology or some kind of environmental or molecular disturbance. All right? And I'm a scientist, hard scientist. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, how can I devise an experimentation in order to understand what I'm looking at, this phenomenon? Okay? And then I have ships hovering over my house. All right. When we go back to Bigfoot City, you're all invited to be in June. I'm taking my college students over there. You're all welcome to go. It's the same thing. I call them down in large numbers for whatever reason they respond, and they come down and they interact very closely. Now, I want to say one other thing. Speaking of orbs, I was approached by a student of mine recently, and she has orbs around her house, like the city site, constantly. Large amounts of. I've seen some of her pictures. They have pilots, little alien pilots, little George Jetson looking things. I'm serious. She has photographic proof and video. Now, it gets even better. She has a picture, a series of pictures and video of an orb coming down out of the sky. And in the center is a figure that starts to materialize. And I'm looking at this going, that's kind of strange. And as it gets closer, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you realize it's a human figure inside of an orb. Then you realize it's not. As it gets bigger, it's too big and too buffed. Looks like a Green Bay Packer. What was it? What do you think it was? Hello? Yeah! So the question is, are the videos and the pictures going to see the light of day? If we can make a structure to preserve the student's anonymity and her location, she's interested probably in allowing education to see that. Because that will make the connection between Bigfoot, the UFOs, the orbs, and the transportation network that I identified on the stones. So I've identified not only aliens, ships, star charts, but the grid, the transportation network that the orbs are traveling on. And I have proof of that and artifacts that are available for any scientist to look at as well. All right? I'm all about proof and artifacts and science. So when I give you the woo side of it, if you guys want to call it that, it's because it's happening. And it's because there's proof that it's happening. And it's not just the hard science and the teeth marks. They're hybrid hominin with something else going on. Whether it be advanced technology or a relationship or some kind of interactive display, I can't tell you that for sure. I can't prove it at this point. But we'll prove it sooner or later. For all the people out there wondering if Bigfoot's traveling on orbs, yes, they are. Are they traveling on these energy networks? Yes, they are. Are there different colors? Oh, yes, there are. And do they have individual pilots? Yes, they do. Okay, now the question is, how do we devise an experiment or some kind of structure in order to scientifically measure this phenomenon? That's the key. All right? So, I'd like to stop today, the end of this presentation by saying, listen, not only have I proved it in bones and stones that are available for anybody, any place, any time to examine, and I've already challenged all the top scientists, haven't heard a whisper. It's going to be published, I know it is, in the top journal in the world in the next year or so. And if it is, oh well, it's still there. I'll go find another journal. Point being is this, as we get together and share our different theories like this, we don't all have to agree, but what we're doing is illuminating new data. We're getting new perspective. We're learning new things. And that's what I'm all about, is education. All right? And that's why I do all this stuff for free, and that's why I teach at the college these classes for free. And that's why I give these lectures, because I call it the Hybrid Hominin Education Outreach Initiative. I want everybody to understand that these are brothers and sisters from some distant past. We're sharing same structures, tooth structures. If this was an alien, it wouldn't have human teeth. It wouldn't eat human prints. Maybe it would. Maybe we're aliens. Who knows? We do know there's something out there. It's always been out there. There's different types of unexplained phenomena around it, and we're getting much closer. So very much, that's it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.